What's up, guys? How's it going? And welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the morality of Persona 5. If you have played Persona 5, if you haven't played Persona 5, please click off the video because I will be talking about heavy spoilers for Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. But otherwise, go ahead and jump right into the video. So, one of the major themes in Persona 5 is the justice theme. There's a lot of different characters that have different ideologies, and throughout the different game, whether it's Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, you'll be encountering different characters arguing different points as far as what they believe is just, whether it's good or bad, or different opinions. Not only just the Phantom Thieves, but also the different villains you meet on the way, as well as some of the characters that you meet, become friends with. One of my favorite characters in the game is Maruki. He's one of the characters you really get to know in Persona 5 Royal very much by the end of the game. The third semester, when it tells to and everything, does pretty very different contrast of what the original game intends to do, which is more showing the injustices of the world and how the adults really get corrupted over time, opposed to the teenagers that are more kind of like a blank slate and they can kind of become the people they want to become and so on and so forth. Very interesting theme in that regard. But Maruki, on the other hand, is an adult and he does have a very different ideology from the Phantom Thieves as well as other characters that you meet. And Maruki particularly is a character that isn't necessarily an evil guy or a bad guy. He does have his own ideology, what he thinks is right, which is, again, not necessarily wrong per se, because he does believe that what he's doing is right, but it does contrast different from what the Phantom Thieves believe, which is a completely different kind of set of beliefs and everything. The Phantom Thieves really also not particularly good itself. I personally will argue with what they do isn't particularly good. If you pay really close attention at the beginning of the game, they tell you if they change the heart of someone, it can actually affect the person or even kill them. In fact, all the things that are going on with the Black Mask at the beginning of the game kind of have to do with the fact that somebody is affecting the cognition of some other people and they're dying because of that. So there's always that possibility that when they're changing the heart of someone, they accidentally end up killing them or getting them like mentally unstable or something of that nature. So that does bring the question, are the Phantom Thieves good, or is there any kind of party that is good or correct in the game? And the morality of the game is very interesting because although you do see different ideologies, the game never really tries to tell you one is better than the other one. It just kind of leaves you up to the belief. That's in fact the fact that you can actually get an ending different depending on your choices based on what you believe. I feel like it's a really interesting choice because it doesn't necessarily tell you, okay, this is better than this. You just have to make a choice as what you think is right or not. You could argue that the games and the writers really wanted the Phantom Thieves to be kind of like the good guys and they make a certain belief and everything. But I do feel like the game really, the fact that they allows you to make those decisions, that does mean at least like there is a choice and there are different ideologies that you can choose to believe in one or the other. Personally, there is another ideology which is Akechi's, which he basically, I don't know, he talks a lot about justice as far as like how the Phantom Thieves behave or how like they are above the law or they think that they are not within like what they're supposed to do and everything. But I personally don't really agree with that. First of all, because we know Akechi being the Black Mask, being like not necessarily the good guy in the game. Obviously, he's been a hypocrite about it. But on the other hand, it does bring a question: are they actually doing something that is helping society? Kasumi, which is one of the characters you meet later on in the game, does argue that it isn't very sustainable for you to have the Phantom Thieves as kind of like changing the world. How many times can you actually change people's cognitions into being good every single time? And that's what brings the question, is there anyone that is actually bad, or is everyone just corrupt because of things that happens? Like, I don't know. I feel like at a certain point, if you really think really deep enough, you could argue that no one in the game is actually a bad person because, they were corrupt and something happened. Or is that really an easy way to dismiss that there are some people that are horrible, that do some pretty horrible things, and that itself corrupts them. I don't know. I feel like the game isn't very clear about it. And it's fine if it isn't clear. I feel like the game isn't trying to make a big point as far as like, oh, there's some good people and some bad people. It's just people that make bad choices and change over time. And I don't know. Overall, I feel like there are different ideologies that do clash with each other very interestingly, but I don't necessarily feel like it tries enough to build any particular morality standpoint, which is, I don't know, in a black sense, like very gray area, which I don't know, as you go it becomes more gray, not necessarily good or bad, not necessarily like one following one or the other. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's how life is. You necessarily, not everyone is entirely bad or evil or good or, you know, the best person or anything. There are just different shades as far as like how you interpret things, whether you believe someone is good or bad. It really is up to interpretation and how you kind of get to know the person, whether you agree with their beliefs or not. It's a very interesting subject, and I feel like it really does fit Persona 5 very well, because not just this game particularly, but what it tries to do for the next game, Rojo or the Persona 5 Strikers and everything. It does have some interesting points, but I want to hear in your comments down below what you think about that. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think the Phantom Thieves are good or bad? What about any of the other characters that you meet along the way? Whether you think they are good or bad, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. But before we end this video, I want to thank all the members: Miko, Another Fox, Demicro, H2DK, King Narukami 45, Ethan McNeil, and Rising Oilblend. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. I couldn't make these videos without your help.